James McClean versus Derry happened in your absence. I think people are very au fait with the story. There was the European exit and his Instagram post, which basically said, well, it's not the players' situation here. It's problem must be elsewhere. There was a back and forth with Roddy Collins, and then Tiernan Lynch was sacked. And you kind of thought that was that the club had chosen their man. And then the big plot twist was, no, we want you out too. And they're doing it, Derry City, on the grounds that McClean's body, in effect, is not fit for purpose. He can't fulfill his contract. And Aidan Fitzmaurice had the story that, well, McClean is turning up for training tomorrow, and he disagrees. It's gone relatively quiet since. So first off, you and James McClean have worked on his imminently available autobiography.
Yeah.
So you are in Team McClean, and you're going down with that ship no matter what.
Yeah, so I mean,
is this? Are you Eamon Dunphy in O2?
Yeah.
Is he your guy?
We haven't spoken about this on air, have we? We've spoken about it the odd time off.
You've told me several times.
But
you have to declare the interest.
Yeah, I have to. I have to, because like I've been doing this. I mean, up to going to the World Cup for the previous year, you know, I was really sort of intensely working with James on his book, and it was finished before I went away. But like I have been there, and you know, when the book comes out, it's probably easier for us to talk about it in a bit more detail about specific things within it. But like, you know, I've been given incredible access to James across a period of time. I was in the house every week, stayed over several times. I was there all through the move from Wrexham to Derry, how that came out the day that it was all happening. I actually, by complete coincidence, happened to be there when it was all going on. So I have been inside the tent on this, and it's unusual because often with like these news stories, and we'll talk about other things and other people, you know, we'll sit around talking about people, and we'll suppose what we might think about them or what they're like, and we don't necessarily know what they're like when they go home and close the front door. I sort of feel like I have that insight with James now, so that probably does. Being honest, it probably, of course, it's going to colour my opinion of him. I think I have a very good understanding of how James operates and what he's like.
You know what? For the purpose of this one in particular, it might not be the worst thing actually that we have someone who might be more inclined towards an understanding of McClean, because from the outside, based on emails, based on the general, the online chatter, most people look at McClean and just think, with the whatever about the latest dispute with Derry and his body, they think he behaved very badly around the Instagram posts. They think the stuff with Roddy is unbecoming and silly, and he shouldn't be involved with that at his age. You know, Tiernan Lynch sacked, is it a coincidence? Not really. Like, you're wielding this power, you're very highly paid, you're not behaving well, is the sense. I mean, one of the emails, the strongest defence that we had in McClean was, look lads, let's be fair, he has gone public, there's an autism diagnosis, who knows how that interacts with this crazy world of football. And I think that's a valid point, but again, I don't have the details on his specific diagnosis. But in the main, most people are not looking favourably on McClean here.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
By all means, if you want, give a different slant to it.
It's funny though, it feels like at the start a lot of people weren't looking favourably on it. I feel like maybe towards the end of last week I saw Owen Doyle had a piece, and a few people, Garrett McLean and Derry was speaking, and a lot of people have started to maybe look at it. I mean, maybe just conversations they're having and they're hearing things. Look,
as in St. McClean had a point. You know, the way he's saying, I'll be vindicated, you'll find out what's going on here.
That effectively, like, the environment he's been in. Look, what I would say about James is an obsessive, and I think that's something that will come across probably in the book, certainly. Like, to me, doing the book with James, it's not, people, I think there may be an expectation that it's going to be some kind of golden cleric sort of score settling thing. Whereas more the way and I thought it was important to do it, and also using other voices as well, is trying to get an understanding of his personality and why he is the way that he is. Like James gave up a lot to come home. Like, he was not under pressure to come home. Financially, like, you know, it would have probably made more sense to stay where he is, particularly if Wrexham had got promoted, which they very nearly did. And he came home with all the best of intentions to come back to Derry. I would have been there, you know, when a lot of this happened, and been privy to conversations about sort of, you know, players that were going to be signed and things that were going to happen, you know, which didn't happen. And there might be that burning sense, and there's no doubt that as well, that is, you know, his body has been an issue, and he probably couldn't believe when he came back how he was probably struggling on the pitch, you know, in that respect. And it was obviously pretty built up into being such a thing coming home, and it probably was this sense of like glory of the local boy coming home that it's actually just ended up being the biggest like disappointment of his life, and it's eating away at him 24/7. And sometimes there are people who are great at sort of managing balance in their life, that they can be annoyed by something, but they can still go away for 2-3 hours and do something else, or play around the golf, or, you know, go for a couple of pints in some way. He doesn't do any of those things. Like, you go into his house every day and he's just training consistent. In fact, since he's moved home, he's training more because he has a home gym there. So you would speak to, like, say, Erin, his wife, and it'd be like, "What, you know, how are things today?" And he could have gone like 2 or 3 times that morning. If he has an hour and he doesn't know what to do, he'll go and exercise. That's what he does. That's how he clears his mind. We've spoken, I mean, we've had conversations previously. You get a great benefit from like exercise and like clearing the head and stuff like that. That's sort of his mindset constantly. And I think, look, James there's a pride there. He's come home thinking he was going to be something. It has been disappointing. He's probably seeing things day to day that are really disappointing, and he's itching to tell everyone about it. Now, this is where he needs to have done better. And I can't defend some of the social media stuff. I just can't. And people around him, I know, have been hammering him on some of the social media stuff. But, you know, I know you've mentioned the autism aspect of it. And
I don't want to do that too.
No, and I would say even, yes.
And
yeah.
Because initially we didn't mention it, and someone said, well, it's not fair to talk about McClean and not mention it. But equally, I don't want to stigmatise autism and be like, well, look, it's all the autism, clearly.
Yes.
That's very unfair on a lot
and
of
maybe
people.
it's easier to have this because there's obviously in the book there's sections about that, and it's actually something that we spoke about, is like, you don't want to use it as an excuse for things, but also you cannot avoid the fact that, like, there is an element of regulation of emotions and structure and routine, and a lot of these things. And there's a pattern through his career that when he's in a stressful, unstable environment, that's when he lashes out more, you know. And when there's a degree of certainty day to day, the emotions are a lot more level. But then when it's in a place that it's a lot more volatile and unpredictable, then these instances happen. And you know, he is wired, like James. I think that Dion have a piece at the weekend. I think he is a product of the social media age of footballers, an extreme product of it, where if something gets at him, it will eat him up for the day, and he feels like he needs to react to it, you know, in a way that other players just would not do it. You know, they show a different face of themselves to the world. James will just say what's on his mind at that moment. And it's not always right, and it's not always maybe from the most rational place, but it does come from like a genuine place. We all, like, how many times, like, we all have our impulses and say things and get stuff wrong. Like, the way he's wired, it's just he reacts and he reacts and he reacts. I just feel a lot of sadness about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And where I would defend him is, where I'm defending him is knowing how, like, he came back with the best of intentions.
Yeah.
And he, like, this portrayal now, and it's in a place now where it's about money, and it's about this and it's about that. Like, you know, he wasn't thinking of those things when he was coming home. Like, it was meant to be a glorious homecoming.
Yeah.
And now, like it's in this situation where, like, we're not good in this country sometimes with say keeping people involved in the game. Like, he's someone who's moved his family to Derry, who's had amazing success in his career, played 100 times for his country, and is he going to end up being a sort of a pariah figure in his hometown? It's incumbent on people to ensure that doesn't happen, you know, and that, like, you understand the player. That like, there's a big question mark. Did Derry do a medical when he signed for the club? Like, that's a big question here. I think it's a very fair question to ask because I know the answer to it, you know? So
it feels like a rhetorical question.
Yes. So you know, that they would probably try and escalate it to a point of probably the nuclear option, when you know, you have to know the character that you're dealing with. And I get it. I'm going to get a lot of shit over this. I'm getting it already from people who, as you posited at the start, and very fairly, like, this is indefensible, some of this stuff, and he's 37 and etc., senior pro, should know better. Of course, I completely get it, right? I do get why people would say that, and sometimes you'd be looking at it going, oh, yeah, I wish you hadn't, you hadn't done it in that particular way. But I mean, I think even Owen Doyle's piece last week made the point. It's like, well, the things that he's complaining about, is there actual valid points here? Like, the manager definitely wasn't up to it. The manager, like, I've heard nothing, and the mad thing is the process of doing the book. I was actually quite conscious of not getting into that, but like from other players and stuff, it was clear that it was not the man for the job at all. Okay. And probably the day-to-day environment at the club, training pitch, everything, probably not great. And obviously it's triggered him to a point where it's gone too far, But
no, that's a really fair and interesting argument to put forward. We'll talk more about him, I suspect, when the book comes out. But just one question.
There's things in his life that, like, you have to understand where someone comes from and what makes them what they are and how to react to situations. You can't assume that everyone is the same in terms of the experiences that they've had.
Of course. Yeah. Just one question I was going to ask. If you ask Roy Keane now, have you ever made a mistake? He would, with 10% mischief and I worry 90% sincerity, say, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
If I said to James now, that Instagram post, that was a mistake, would he say, no? Or would he say, I know, I get these mad rushes, it happens, 4 days later, I'm thinking, James, what are you doing? Which side is he more likely to be in?
I think there'd be a bit of both. Like, he would acknowledge, yeah, like we have stuff about the sort of the instinctive reactions. Like, he has a sort of he has a period of red mist that he just it can last for quite a long time, and he won't rest until he's got his response in. And then once he gets the response in, it
does come out.
The relief is there.
Okay.
And like, there's been things he's done. There's obviously a chapter in the Balaclava incident and other things, which you get an insight into the mind, and the character and how he responds to things. And look, it's not always the right thing to do. Obviously, it's not.
Sure.
Obviously, it's not.
Okay.